introduce. She's here for Just Cause, is it? Participating remotely? Or?
Okay, just,
Yes, I am here participating from the Tilbury Hotel, 85 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York.
It was on the agenda.
Oh, it was on the agenda?
Yeah.
No, the first
okay,
page.
so it's teleconferencing, it's traditional teleconferencing.
First page, there it's on the top.
Right
There-
under,
there's a type on the September 8th.
I see that. Okay,
so it's regular teleconferencing.
good. So can we continue the roll call then, please?
Yep. Director Negengast. Here. Director Marsh.
Here.
Director Boyd. Here. Director Slater Carter.
Present.
Director Barbara Dye is there remotely, and Chair Ruddock.
Here.
Here,
So welcome to the regular meeting of SAM of September 8th, 2025. So we're moving to item number 2, which is public comment. The public may address the board on items that are not on the regular agenda or on items that are on the consent agenda. I don't see anybody in the room here. Is there anyone online that would like to address the board under public forum? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board and we will move on to the consent agenda. This includes item 3A, approved minutes of August 11th, 2025, regular board meeting. Item 3B, approved disbursements for September 8th, 2025. And item 3C, monthly revenue and expense report for period ending July 31, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Anybody want to pull anything? Just double checking. Is there anyone online who would like to address the board on any of these consent agenda items? We have a motion and a second. Seeing none, could I have a roll call, please?
Director Dye.
aye.
Director Negengast. Yes. Director Marsh.
Yes.
Director Boyd. Yes. Director Slater Carter.
Yes.
Chair Ruddock.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to regular business, item 4A is accept the quarterly financial report for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2024-25.
Yeah, so this is the Q4, which is the fourth quarter of the fiscal year 24-25. And this was discussed in the Finance Committee meeting a couple of weeks back, August 22nd, and the Finance Committee recommended that we take it to the board. So the highlights of this is we have the general budget as well as the collections budget. The highlight of the general budget is that the overall budget is about 0.6% more than the actual budgeted expenses. Last year, we were about 5 to 5.5% over. So this year, there's been a tremendous improvement. We've been able to bring it down from 5.5 to almost 0.6%. So that is the main highlight of it, and a slight overrun of about 2%. So staff is here to answer any questions. My team, Marina, and we have George Evans and myself, and of course the finance committee members are here. Is there any questions to answer?
Any questions from board members or staff on this item?
No, I'll just say congratulations. And we had so much stuff going on last year that, as usual, the good management and I don't see any major questions on this.
I will note, as small as the overage is this year, there are multiple categories that are over. And I think it's explained in the staff report, but if you could address the main reasons for the overages, summarize those, that would be helpful.
Can, or if finance team, is it Peter or George would like to take over? George, would you like to explain?
I'd have to review them point by point. Peter did a good job of summarizing, so I'll let him take the ball.
Yeah, really, for any budget line item that we do have an overage for, personnel we group, but outside of that, for every other budget line item we have that did have an overage, we do have a narrative that's associated with with each one of them. I can provide any more detail possibly on any of those, but was there a specific line item that you're looking at?
I would just say in general,
Yeah.
summarize for the public watching the meeting, that the drivers of the particular overage were.
Yeah.
God.
So basically, I can take over, Peter.
Okay.
To summarize it, we had an overage in the engineering services, which was over budgeted. Actual expenses was about 250,000, which is over budget by about 120,000. And this was because we did the asset and risk management review separately. We did a capital budget. The capital improvement plan was brought to the board last year and was adopted. So these were all things which had to be done as a part of the engineering services, which caused the overage. Then we had the professional dues and fees, which were also over budgeted. It went over by about $30,000. That was primarily because we have this lawsuit with ERF. So because of the ERF lawsuit settlement, we had an amendment which required certain amount of money to be diverted to Rose Foundation.
Right.
And that came up later on. So that was not budgeted, and this was resulted in a slight overage in the professional dues and fees. Then the insurance premiums are slightly, they've gone up by about 13,000 because we also added the flood insurance into the insurance after the winter storm and the way it went about. So it took some time for them to add the how much it would cost us. So that was not budgeted at the beginning because these budgets are normally done in February, March, and get adopted by June. So we didn't have that opportunity to revise it. Then there was another miscellaneous expenses which the board decided to write off for the former general manager, which was about $24. And the board decided to write off that as an expense.
Oh.
So that came about as an miscellaneous expenses.
If I can add, it was much cheaper than a lawsuit.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We saved money.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, there were a couple of times it went back and forth. So we felt that the board felt that it's much cheaper to settle it this way rather than paying extra money for the attorneys and going through all that audio. So that was in the miscellaneous expenses, and small amount in travel and training was, we over budgeted by about 14,000 because SAM treatment staff was enrolled in various safety courses. And just to let you guys know, the safety courses being done here every month, we have participation from CCWD, City of Half Moon Bay, and MWST.
Right.
So all of them come here for classes. We keep them well informed in advance, and they send their staff here.
Wonderful.
So,
Yeah.
so that's good.
They-
It's kind of a unity also. They exchange information and sit here and then talk about it. So that's good.
Do they share in the expense, or it's just a generous thing?
Yeah, at SAM anyway, it's all three member agencies. CCWD is only one outside, so we
Yeah.
don't charge.
Okay.
Correct. We don't really.
Thank you for the summary. Is there anyone online who would like to address this item, the quarterly financial reports? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any additional comments or motion?
I make a motion that we accept, that what the agenda says, that we accept the quarterly financial report for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 24-25.
Second?
Could I have a roll call, please?
Director Dyke?
Barbara, you're muted.
I'm coming. Yes.
Director Megan Gust? Yes. Director Marsh?
Yes.
Director Boyd? Yes. Director Slater Carter?
Yes.
Chair Raleigh?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to item 4B, which is the update on ocean outfall inspection.
Yes, so this is the, this is being done regularly on an annual basis, the ocean outfall inspection. Of course, it depends upon when the divers are available, and we got information much in advance, and we were able to line up everything for this inspection. Typically, we find that some diffusers need to be fixed, so we do have some spare diffusers also. But this time, additionally, we've got some videos of the inspection which was done. So we've got several videos, but we'd like to share about 3 1-minute videos just to show you how the outfall inspection is being done, how the divers go below and what they find. So
Great.
I'm going to share my screen.
I
And
was
then
going to ask what it looks like, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
we do have a half-an-hour video. We didn't want to bore you guys, so we just picked the 1-minute video.
I would like it.
We can pass it on to one people.
I probably would, but,
Is that a diffuse?
How far is the outfall extended out?
As the outfall extends out 2,200 feet from the upland building, there's 35 diffusers placed along the way at about a 6-foot interval to a depth of about 40 feet, tidal dependent, of course.
Right.
so would this be something good to put on a website to help people sleep? Like incredibly boring?
It's not that bad. It's hard to hear. It's like listening to the guy is like listening to Darth Vader. You'll see.
Oh, the divers.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
No, I just wanted to share the sound. I forgot to share the sound, so I've got it now.
Oh.
So how do they get inside it? Do they run it up from the far end?
What are you? Zero.
Wait a minute. Why is this?
I don't think they get inside.
Turn your volume.
Oh, they're only looking at the outside?
Yeah,
Yeah, they only look at the outside.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
they have to be pretty.
Why is the ocean green?
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
It's supposed to be blue.
I have no idea.
The sunlight coming through the,
Click on
they said that there was some
That's what I did.
red tide.
Oh,
Yeah, it was red tide at the time frame that they did it. So there was an algal bloom going on, so the water clarity wasn't as nice as we'd like to see it. Since we're having technical difficulties, I can tell you what he's doing. He's that's actually one of the diffusers there that came out. That's one of the 6-foot tide flex diffusers that came out. It has a small tear on the top, and that's what they're looking for when they're going down there and they're diving. They inspect the diffuser. We send them where they're bent over, where they have tears, where they're sanded up or whatever. So they're inspecting the base. They're just inspecting the entire length of the diffuser. They did have some issues because that's a 6-foot diffuser, and the riprap and the sand and everything, the rocks that surround them, and some of them, it's about half the depth of the diffuser. So trying to expose the whole thing in 40 feet of water can be problematic.
Tim, these stick up vertically from the main outfall pipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we did this earlier and it was fully functional. So I don't know why it's being difficult now.
I'm not able to get the volume button itself.
that's okay. We don't need to hear it.
Well, that's a bummer.
It sounds like Darth Vader underwater.
I know, it was so
Yeah.
cool.
So Tim, you're planning to add this to the tour for the high school students?
Yes, this will be, when Dwayne DeNucci was the high school teacher, we might have been able to add it.
Hey, everybody get
For
your,
the lifeguard.
Well, Jeff
everybody get
Kelly
your
probably can,
scuba certification.
or not Jeff, but his son.
Joseph, I don't know if Joseph is as much of a diver as he was. I don't think he is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's the diffuser.
He has a great collection of
Abalone.
carnivorous plants.
Yeah. This is being difficult.
I have no idea why the volume is not coming up. See?
We did this earlier. You were sharing your screen. We shared the screen.
Oh, yeah, the volume's not.
I think that.
The volume's grayed out down the bottom.
Yeah, it's great out here.
So Scott, the new
Settings and changes.
series is going to be announced tomorrow?
I did. It worked earlier. That's all I know.
We tried it.
Yeah,
We can see it.
it worked an hour and a half ago.
I was told to look at my calendar.
The new phone,
I have no idea what you're talking
Well,
about.
that's not as
the
entertaining.
Apple announcement.
Not
I
at all.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, darn.
Even if we had.
Well, I didn't think.
Or-
I get it.
It's not the
Final settings in play.
You can go settings, or we can just move along because it's kind of. What's
I could ask some questions.
Yeah.
certainly,
Yeah.
No, this is really good stuff. Is this typical every year, more or less what you found this year? Or some years they find more than others? I'm just trying to get a gauge on, is there some massive replacement we're gonna have to do for the outfall pipe at some point, or?
At the outfall pipe itself, so we haven't really looked at the outfall pipe itself, the portion that's buried. So these are just the diffusers, the portion that sticks up, and that's the part that we are able to inspect every year, just to make sure that it's flowing and everything's good. So
Right.
once a year, we up a little bit from the winter storms, and because they were working so hard to get the taller diffusers full inspection on those and to get them exposed and replaced, that they noted it and we're going to address it next year. So that we do as much as we can every year. So next year, we're already planning on doing full inspection of all 35 diffusers. And then after they do the full inspection of the full 35 diffusers, then they'll replace the ones they already know now are bad. And
Those are the yellow ones on the report.
yes, they were the.
5 of them.
So do we specifically have a budget item for that, or is that just kind of put in?
Not until now, but yes, next year we'll start putting that in the next year's budget.
Okay.
Until now, we would take it under the treatment part of it, and this would get capitalized at the end of the year. So we've had discussions in the finance committee saying that all such items, we have to create a separate thing under the treatment and put that under infrastructure or under the treatment. So we can do that. Otherwise, it would come up in the one.
So then we know, so I'm just trying to get it in my head. So is it a 5-figure, 6-figure number every year? What would typically?
It's 85,000.
85,000 for the entire thing, but the diffusers don't cost that much.
Diffusers are about 5,000.
Yeah, $6,000 or so. The diffusers, but the
Major posts would be 8 to replace or 6. I mean, maybe it depends, right? So I mean, I just kind of.
the major cost is mobilizing because the divers have to
Yeah.
mobilize and they have to be here and 2-3 days. So that's where the major expenses go away. Otherwise, these spares which we keep is not much.
Yeah.
So it's like 100 to 150,000 typically
Yeah, of course, much
between
less.
the inspection and the diffusers.
Correct. Much less than that, of course.
Right. But overall, we're in pretty good shape.
Overall, we're in pretty good shape. Yeah.
So this year, we didn't see a whole lot in the way of damage, but sometimes we'll see damage from like dragging anchors.
Yeah.
Does that take out diffusers or does it get worse and take out any of the line?
No, so the diffusers, at the base of the diffusers, even though they have a stainless steel retaining bracket that goes over the top of the rubber, the bolts that actually hold the diffusers in place are plastic bolts. So in the event something major comes along, rather than destroying the pipe, it's just going to fracture the bolts. We've not had that. What we have had is we've had the diffusers actually bent over, and we've had that happen.
Can you straighten them up?
Prop them up, huh?
You can prop them up,
Well,
sort of.
sort of. Once you bend them, they're not really. You can't.
You can't just
They
cut 'em off?
did an emergency thing. No, you can't just cut them off. They did do an emergency thing where they put some rebar on it and, wrapped it until the following year that we were able to replace it. But typically, that's why we like to have plenty of diffusers on hand so that when they find them, we have them. When they come in, before they even go out, I get them the diffusers and the bolts and the retaining rings and everything that they need. So when they're out there and they find them, they can replace it while they're there.
Cool.
That's the ideal.
I don't know if the public was able to see the diffuser. You want to move that here or?
Oh, they can come to the plant and see it if they like.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anyone online who would like to ask a question of staff or the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. This is just an update.
Yeah.
Any further questions before we move on?
It's really cool.
This information item.
Yeah, thank you for that. And item 5 is the general manager's report.
So the packet, I mean, the details of the July month report is attached in your packet. But other than that, quick update on the sewer force main in Montana. The project continues to be on schedule, with construction completion targeting for June 30th, 2027. No change on that. The geotechnical investigation was completed last week. They were doing that in the Montana area. They first started it a month back. Then they hit a water line, so they had to stop it, take all precautionary measures, do all that. And then they completed it last week. So the final geotechnical report is anticipated to be completed by mid-November. 60% of the design of the force main is moving forward with the completion of geotechnical investigation. Then the guaranteed maximum price negotiations will begin as planned next year, probably in March or April. That's when the board will get an opportunity to decide whether to move forward with the same contractor or whether we go out for a bid, depending on what price they come back. The draft administrative initial study is scheduled to be available in late December and circulated in late January for public review. So that's tentative, whatever update is happening on the sewer force main in Montana project. Other than that, the electrical relocation project is also going very well. And just today we got information that we had put up some expenses to be reimbursed, and it got cleared by FEMA, it got cleared by Cal OES. It's an administrative expense. The consultant is still not billed us, but the consultant who's doing the design is not billed us. But we've incurred some expenses, working on the grant and all that stuff. So that reimbursement is coming, and the checks are being mailed. That's what they said.
Mhm.
So it is coming. It is a reality. I know there was a lot of.
We'll appreciate each check that gets mailed.
Oh yes, definitely.
Delivered.
But it is coming. Yeah. So
Nice.
just an update which we got today.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Other than that, I have nothing else. If there are any questions on the manager's report, staff is here to answer them.
Thank you. So let's move on to number 6, the attorney's report.
Yes, good evening, board. It's getting towards the end of the legislative session, so there's a couple of bills I wanted to provide you an update on, and I've got a short presentation. First of all, SB 601 dealt with Clean Water Act as a gap filler. At first, it was an effort to provide actually a substitute citizen suit provision under Porter Cologne, which is the state equivalent of the Clean Water Act. That ultimately didn't make it. That bill died and became a 2-year bill. It is likely to come back next year, but it has a lot of impact on wastewater agencies, among others, particularly for existing facilities and waters of the state. So that's likely to come back next year. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the Brown Act tonight, because there is a bill, SB 707, that looks like it's getting awful close to the finish line. Now, whether the governor signs it or not remains to be seen. But if it passes, there are significant changes to the Brown Act that would accompany it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I can.
Mhm.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and trigger the presentation function here. There we go. All right. Okay, so SB 707, I'm just going to jump right into it, keep it short here. It is not passed yet as of, it was amended actually on the 5th, just last week. It's in third reading in assembly. Today, large margins it has passed by large margins, but the potential for the governor to veto it is still possible because major stakeholders like the League of California Cities are still opposed. CSAC, interestingly enough, is not opposed. They're actually in support now. Aqua was meeting on this last week in emergency session, and I don't know where they ultimately wound up. There was significant concern, but as I will get to in a minute, most of the Aqua member agencies at this point, and CASA would be in the same boat, are likely removed from most of the difficult and kind of difficult to comply with sections that have been added. So let me just keep going here. A lot of effort since COVID to amend the way that agencies do remote participation. As all of you likely know, before COVID, there was just traditional teleconferencing, which still works pretty well, and which Director Dye is taking advantage of tonight. All it requires is, allowing or putting the remote location on the agenda, posting an agenda at the remote location, and there's certain rules for how many members must be within the jurisdiction. So there are specific things that have to occur. Last couple of years, AB 361, that was during COVID, that allowed during a state of emergency for remote participation, which everyone largely used. Oops, let me go back one here. Everyone largely used because they didn't have a choice, right? For a while there, you weren't allowed to meet in person. AB 2449 then followed on after 361, after the governor finally rescinded the state of emergency. AB 2449 allowed remote attendance to continue without following normal teleconferencing rules for two categories: just cause, which didn't require board approval, and emergency circumstances, which did. AB 2302 came along and largely put together and combined just cause and emergency circumstances, and then provided a maximum number of times it could be used per year. Just cause was broader and allowed more flexibility potentially for board members who could not attend in person or using traditional teleconferencing. And unfortunately, the way the 2302 was written, it wasn't clear if just cause was still going to be limited to 2 times per year. So that was actually a flaw within 2302 that I don't think was intended. SB 707 moves away from those incremental changes and creates significant new burdens and also some new flexibility. So it's got, you got to eat your vegetables, but there's also some things that I think a lot of agencies will likely support. So I'm going to dig into it a little bit. And just so everybody knows, this is kind of a wave top. This is a really complex bill. There's a lot of different things going on in it, but I wanted to hit the major areas in case you get asked about it at your individual member agencies, because it is a significant area of discussion right now. So Section 5 is the eat your vegetables part. Section 5 creates a new term, an eligible legislative body. If you are one, let me just say who they are. City Council of a city with a population of 30,000 or more. Okay, that wouldn't include any of you folks. The County Board of Supervisors of a county with a population of 30,000 or more. Okay, that wouldn't include us. City Council, and this is where Half Moon Bay, I think, probably falls into this. City Council of a city located in a county with a population of 600,000 or more. And that would, I think, as I understand it, San Mateo County is more than 600,000 residents. So it would likely capture Half Moon Bay. And by the way, that's one of the real grievances of the League of California Cities is, hey, listen, you can have the exact same size city in different parts of the state, and they're still small cities, but nevertheless, they're required to comply. So even though they may be identical to cities in smaller counties, the burden is going to be really significant on small cities. So that's a big area of concern. And then special districts. So by the way, JPAs are not really addressed as part of an eligible legislative body. So Sam, it's not going to apply to Sam either way, but it could apply. Previously, it would apply to any special district with a population that's border of 200,000 people. That was amended last week to significantly narrow the number of special districts that would potentially have to comply. I think CSDA's fingerprints are all over that. And now it's really just very large special districts. If you have 600,000 or more and over 200, if the county has 600,000 or more and the special district is over 200 full-time employees, and it has to encompass the entire county. That is a big change from or the special district has over 1,000 full-time employees, or the special district has an annual revenue based on the comptroller's data that exceeds $400 million, and the special district employs over 200 employees. So it's really, for special districts, it's really just large agencies and cities, and in some cases, counties. So let's keep going here. All right. So if you are one of those unlucky souls, or I guess depending on your perspective, then you have to do the following things. You have to provide opportunity for public attendance and get a comment via a two-way telephonic service or a two-way audiovisual platform. Okay, a lot of folks do that already, so maybe not such a big deal there. A requirement to approve a policy regarding disruption of the telephonic or internet service during meetings. Sam already has a policy like that, but will likely need to be updated. And that actually pertains to not this specific provision, but there's another deals with remote participation if you're not using traditional teleconferencing. And there's a need there. If you have interruption, you're supposed to describe how you're going to deal with it. Not too big a deal. Requirement to assist the public with translation and interpreter services at public meetings. That's the big one. That kind of freaks people out because it's potentially a tremendous amount of new work for cities and other local governments. Requirement to translate agendas and specify website content in all applicable languages, typically triggered by if over 20% of the population speaks a specific language and they don't speak English well. Now, how do you define that? Some ambiguity there that's caused quite a bit of consternation. And you're required to encourage public participation in areas that traditionally haven't participated. So those are all things if you fall into the category of this new eligible local agency. I'm sorry, eligible legislative body. On the positive side, here's some things that would happen. It would extend the sunset date of AB 2449 Just Cause to 2030 from currently it would end in 2026. It combines just cause and emergency circumstances and clarifies some of the ambiguity left from the previous legislation, and increases authorized use of up to 7 times per year for bodies that meet at least 3 times a month and 5 times a year for agencies that meet twice a month. And if you only meet once a month, it's only twice per year. It does include JPAs. There's specifically a reference to multi-jurisdictional organizations, which by definition includes JPAs. And it expands the circumstances under which just cause can be used to include military service, which was never there before, but also childcare issues, or also for adults that require care, contagious illnesses, disabilities, official travel, immunocompromised individuals. If you have someone in your family who meets that criteria and you can't go because you could potentially put them at risk, medical emergencies, and then, as I mentioned, military service. So it is a broadening of the previous definitions of when it would be authorized. And it also, there's a requirement where you're not using traditional teleconferencing to standardize the things that I just mentioned before, including what do you do in the case of interruption? How long do you have to go before you can resume, and things of that nature. And I know that's a lot. So I've had some other agencies already ask me to prepare a memorandum when and if this legislation passes. And I plan to do so, and I'll be happy to provide some to this board, likely free of charge, because I already have to do it for some other folks. So just wanted to make that information available to you, and happy to answer any questions.
Marsh?
Thank you. Jeremy, I think on your first slide, like none of the descriptions apply to a JPA. You said there are some other parts of the bill that would apply to a JPA. It just wasn't clear from the changes if they would apply to a JPA or not.
Yeah, so that's a great question. The definition of an eligible legislative body, which you don't want to be an eligible legislative body, that doesn't apply to JPAs. It really only applies to the entity, cities, counties, and really large special districts, which makes sense to a certain degree because there's some pretty cumbersome requirements dealing with translation services and the like. But what does apply to JPAs is the regulatory flexibility. You specifically get to have the either 5, 7, or 2 just causes, depending on how many times you meet per month. What makes it even more confusing, unfortunately, is that the legislative body refers to the board, but then there's a separate section that deals with subsidiary legislative bodies, which would be committees. And as I read it, and I need to confirm with others because it is not a model of clarity, but as I read it, it looks like you'd have a separate number for each legislative body, including subsidiary legislative bodies. So you might only get 5 just cause excuses per year, and you would Sam would get that for the board. But then you potentially, depending on how often a committee met, you'd potentially have additional just cause excuse for that committee. Does that help?
Yes, thanks. So really the changes in the teleconferencing rules would apply to everybody who's under the Brown Act. It's just certain things that apply to the big legislative bodies.
That's right. Yeah, the more cumbersome, difficult ones, the more controversial ones apply to cities, counties, and large special districts. The other things that are less controversial and more supported, those would apply to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Fortunately, Half Moon Bay is doing a lot of that stuff already.
Yeah.
So that's good. Is there anyone online who would like to comment or ask questions on this item? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board. That's very interesting. Thank you for the thorough report, Jeremy.
My pleasure.
Number 7 is director's report. Any report from directors? Okay. Item 8, topics for future board consideration. Okay, so we will convene in closed session. The items are conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, public employee performance evaluation, title general manager, and conference with labor negotiators. And will we have a report out and have to resume the meeting?
Yes, we'll have to give the city to out and then hook up the hall. So probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll have a few minute break while PCTV complies with closed session.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.